And the good thing is that you basically transfer your Apple Chat to the payment right then and there through your thing. So like you just put how much, like
Let me grab a fresh
500 bucks.
Okay.
You know what? I need to grab
I need a drink too.
Everybody get out!
Joseph, do you have another one?
16 plus.
Yes.
Thank you.
Basically, it's still pending, but if it was like I pay right now, it's not taking no interest. So the interest rate's not that great. You get all the little perks of this thing.
You're gonna have so many people that come away.
And what I do is they have a savings like any little cashback you get, just go into that account. Yeah, Forge Fire. Are they still your pet?
Oh my god.
We can't eat
Yeah. You got Cardano. Yeah. So I think there's 3 interviews. That's a ton. So early holders got 1,000. So early holders got.
So I'm going to. That's
and
great.
then regular holders now get t-shirts. They got the Christmas Crocs art thing that she printed. Yeah, and then she has a Halloween Crocs thing where she's gonna play tonight.
No, yeah, I was thinking, I was like, oh, that's really cool. Seeing TV.
Yeah. And then also the fashion.
Oh,
Yeah. Yeah, little props. And get some partnerships too, so with like countries and people sign off. Yeah. I mean, it's a little bit. Seen it? A couple of years.
Yeah, good to see you.
Yeah. Right when like NFT or when
I mean, I see you
you're
on. I see you pretty game.
a couple months after that. And then maybe initially I like when he's
Reserve it.
I'll wait. Because he got to tell the favorite story is the $60,000. I was about to tell them
You were requested for a story. Oh.
how we met technically April of 2021. And then we were supposed to do a Zoom date.
Yeah.
And it was the first Zoom date I ever would have done. And I was like, oh, you know what? Like, the idea of a Zoom date, I was like, that's a silly fucking concept. But I guess it's COVID. I gotta get with the times. And then, and then I would have been bullshit through that whole thing because I just got done with a party. So I was dead. So I was like, you got to reschedule. You had to, our last.
Well, his last message was, let me know, or you said we need to like to reschedule, and I was like, let me know when you're free. And then 2 months later.
2 months. I'm exaggerating the story.
2 months later, I get a message, and I was like, because I didn't unmask him, I kind of just,
It was worse than that. It was,
he's like,
what if I said I was free tomorrow?
You're like, I'm there.
I was,
Here we are.
When I was free, so
Which
I
is
was
fine.
like,
It's like, well, shit, I'm actually free, so you might as well buy me some booze. And I was like, I'll definitely buy you some booze. It was like we both came into it with zero expectations. It was just like, whatever.
one night out.
Yeah, I just want to fun that out. And it was the first time, it was like right after the COVID, right? So it's like, we can go out again. So, yeah.
And,
And we had a blast. We took the bar down, and I was like, yeah, that is true. Because I actually had planned a date for myself the next day. Because I was, I was new to LA. And I was like, all right, well, I met this, person who's like had an art thing, so I wanted to go see this art thing. And then I had another friend that I just met, that was a coworker. I was the lead singer of a band, so I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna take myself, see a band, see an art show. And I was like, wait a second, it'd be so much better if I had.
When I went on. Oh, all right, thank you. So I told her,
I pulled out and then I
but I'm
went back
going
in.
to the museum. So like, I was already going, no matter what.
Right?
Community service.
Like different flavors.
Different flavors, yeah. Lemon. You need someone's mouth up there? What? Whose mouth?
I was gonna just do some.
Oh, so
Okay.
you're gonna do a little.
I didn't know if you want to
Just
just
second
Oh, yeah,
nature.
please. I just didn't get to it
Second
I was like, this is my
nature.
job.
I just didn't get to it yet.
You know why? It's like, it's like a habit. You're like, you're fucking.
I didn't drive down here
Like,
to
this
take.
is the reaction. I gotta do something about that.
Well, I'm not going to be the same.
Yeah, everyone talks about glasses.
Probably not have to fire
Yeah, I can probably.
Yeah.
I don't want you guys to do it. I definitely did do a good job. It's not my strength.
Okay.
You can tell.
Decent? It's decent.
Hey,
Anyway, it's
no
somebody
one's
like
gonna think it's not
You're
good.
judging. He's judging.
I'm not
The
Stop
tape
the
is
judgment.
actually the tape is the wrong way, but it's okay. It's okay.
I wasn't gonna be good.
No one puts tape that way.
But see, you'll see it though.
But it doesn't.
But visually, it stands out. It's like, oh, it's fucking page. Now let me not close it. It's clear.
Oh, they're like, oh, let me step on that perspective.
All right, so that's that. I think this is
fair.
probably.
Damn. That's wild.
Well, it's live, so whenever
You're live right now.
Well, to get here, what I would do,
What do you think?
I would stretch this to go down.
Oh, comments
Well,
are rolling
it's
in.
just where does it go down?
Oh, when it's straight.
It's straight, like
I
right
love this street. Wish I was there.
because I want to be
Swag.
sound.
Swag.
Oh
my god, I forgot about all the acronyms. We're so back, baby. Slash me now.
Wasn't the model for like a year and a half now? We're so back.
It's a, I don't care if it's a little money laundering.
It still counts.
All right.
On chain.
Maybe we should go get some keyboard. It's just
Yeah.
it is.
This is the presentation. Game where? Oh shit.
Don't tell on me. I'm gonna be slipping.
Why is that back here?
Sorry.
Sorry.
You didn't play very good.
No, I'm good. I'm good.
No party.
Yeah, it's like, hold on. It's a bad, it's very bad.
Gary showed up, but he didn't be
I used
He would be like, ah, you missed that.
Is this the whole
Sorry,
screen?
Gary, you gotta leave. You gotta finish up the panel first. You're like, please don't interrupt. Take a seat, Gary. Take a seat. And then we're gonna play the card game. So, yeah.
And it's like
Not
Like your card game.
Not the, yeah, by the way, it's not the complete plan. No, it's better.
No way.
I can
Test,
I-
test.
There we go.
No way.
By the way, will you guys hold the microphone? Just don't hold it at the bottom because that blocks the antenna down here. So, yeah. So, yeah. And if you ever need to go mute, you have to just press it once to mute and then press again to unmute.
You. That's enough talk shit.
Yeah.
I don't want everyone to hear.
Right,
What kind of food they got over there? Are you guys brothers?
No, just friends.
He does have a brother.
No,
I guess I'll have our videographer let me know when we're ready.
For the live, which
So if you go on the San Diego NFT Friends Twitter page,
and everybody can hear this part. If you go to the San Diego Friends Twitter page,
yes,
sorry.
we have the link to live stream. So if you want to send this out to any friends or family who need to know about blockchain, crypto, NFTs, it's your opportunity. It is streaming also on YouTube, San Diego NFT Friends YouTube channel. So you can go there as well. Okay, we'll plug his channel too. All right, if you want to go on Token Talk NFT. Oh, sorry. Okay, underscore. Keegan, underscore. It's also on his Twitter. What's that?
It's like, it's in the Meetup.
Or if you just want to go to the YouTube page. So if you go to San Diego NFT Friends on YouTube, you should find the live stream. Let me know. Someone let me know if you found it on YouTube. Anyone? Anyone yet? Anyone found it on YouTube? On Twitter?
Oh, no, it's okay.
It should be in one of the posts if you. Yeah.
No, I wouldn't.
I can't see it from here, but it should have like an arrow. Like, oh, yeah,
Yeah, it looks
for the event.
it's
And the links are in the comments.
Oh.
Hey, hi. Hi. Everybody like and share. Like, so for the algorithm.
It's like a Spaces in IRL. Like and share.
Yeah.
Like and share.
Like, share, retweet, comments. All right. After everyone's done, then yeah, we'll get started.
Oh, I got the heart for you.
Oh, thank you.
That's how you can tell it's a true NFT panel because everyone's on their phone, like live streaming it and
Someone was
liking it
like,
and
"What the
pushing
fuck
it.
is this?"
Why is everybody just like on their phone?
What kind of meetup is that?
Let's go.
Ooh, huh. That is me. How do you
there's
share?
some lag a little bit.
Mm,
Yeah, there's a lag.
which is okay.
Got it. 15 seconds lag, guys.
Okay.
Okay.
15 seconds.
Just needed some support. Yeah, that is weird. Normally. Okay. Yeah, call your people. Call your 300 followers.
I got it. Don't worry.
Okay. Are we good? Is everybody ready? Everyone has their drinks. I think we're ready. Yeah. Okay. Hello, everybody. My name is Valerie Carrillo. I am the founder of San Diego NFT Friends. Thank you so much, everyone who's tuning on the live stream. Everybody say hi, turn around. The camera's right there if you want to say hello. And thank you to everyone who came in person. It's so much appreciated. I know the space in general of Web3 and blockchain is a little tough right now, but I believe that the community is what we need to do to keep rising together until the market comes back. Or at least we hope so, right?
Got to keep it positive.
Yes, keep it positive, or else why are we doing this? You know, I truly believe in everything that everyone is building, especially everyone here on the panel today. But just to give anyone who doesn't know what San Diego NFT Friends is about, or anyone on the live stream, San Diego NFT Friends started in May of 2021. And we really started because of Gary Vee and his NFT project called VeeFriends. Gary Vee is a well-known entrepreneur, business guru, marketing. And so he brought a lot of us into the community of Web3 and NFTs. And that's how actually we connected, was through VeeFriends. So if you didn't know, today's meetup, we are dedicating to Gary Vee and VeeFriends. I'm also wearing the shoes, inspiring alpaca. A plug right there. But yeah, we started back then, and we've been doing that consistently every single month. And this is meetup number 29. So 29th meetup here. Very excited. And maybe we'll help Gary Vee come through. Who knows? If not, we're still here. So, okay, without further ado, I'd love each of our panelists to introduce yourself. Yeah, go for it.
Hi, so my name is Esther. I also go by Asteria. I am the founder / creator of Witchy Bits. My project was also because of Gary Vee. So I got into VeeFriends and I completely went on a hyperfixation of learning everything crypto NFT related. But I'm also a practicing Wiccan, a witch. So I love anything magic, manifestation related. And I actually brought utility to my project by offering readings based on whatever NFT you purchase. So that's a little bit about Witchy Bits. I mean, that's back in 2021, so it's been quite a while, and a lot of my efforts have actually moved off-chain currently, and I'm doing a lot of events, doing a lot of readings, things of that nature, but again, still trying my best to stay in touch with all things NFT and Web3. So that's a little bit about me.
My name is JP. Hello, everyone. I am the artist and founder of Cool Crocs, an NFT project that also was very inspired by VeeFriends and from a couple other projects. It's a cartoon-based project, so we are building cartoons, creating cartoons, launching cartoons, and a lot of other things along with that. Tonight, we're actually going to be playing the second ever Halloween Crocs card game tournament, so I'm very happy about that. We have a card game associated with our IP, and just proud to keep building in this amazing community. Thank you.
Hello, everybody. Hello, everybody.
Hello.
He's in character, by the way, if you haven't noticed.
Which one?
One of them. One of them.
One of us are in character. My name is Tyler Culberton. This is my boss, Lorenzo. For those of you that don't know, Lorenzo is what you call the cryptode, and he's also known as a lasagna cryptode. That is what's on L1. And speaking of L1, there's layers to this. L1, L2, and L3. L3 specifically is what I'm trying to establish with my boss, Lorenzo. And it's a hot, fresh vibe.
Yes.
And, so a little bit about me. I work for Lorenzo. We like skateboarding. We like artwork. We like creators like this panel. We like Valerie in our for commitment in building this local community in which we have. I've had the honor to attend the very first meetup Valerie did, along with
Esther, by the way.
Esther did too. That's where I first met her. And it's a beautiful thing. And look at 2.5 years later, and now I walk around with a pillow for a living. It's a wonderful world. We love it. Grazie.
Yes, and so just so you guys know, we did do a podcast called There's Layers to This. We finished out 10 episodes. We're hoping to bring it to Miami Art Basel in December. So if anyone is looking to sponsor or partner or collaborate with us, let us know because we want to bring the podcast live to Miami.
IRL.
IRL.
Who's been to Art Basel before?
No, you guys gotta
I've
go.
never been. We
guys.
gotta go.
Guys, yeah. Just
The other opposite side of where we are physically right now.
Miami's
It's
beautiful.
a far away.
Miami's
if you look
beautiful.
at a map.
That's right.
Just saying.
All right, let's get into the discussion. Let's actually get a background of like what got you into the ecosystem. Obviously, Gary Vee's a part of it, but was it just solely Gary Vee, or was there a YouTube channel you saw? Was it a friend? Like, kind of curious, like what really sucked you into the ecosystem. So, Esther, go for it.
So for me, it was definitely, I was already kind of watching a lot of Gary Vee inspirational material and videos, and that's kind of where I got my first introduction into cryptocurrency. And for those of you that don't know, I do have ADHD, which means I get very hyper fixated on topics, and I feel like I need to know everything about it. So I took a super deep dive, and once I felt like I had a good understanding of cryptocurrency and the blockchain and how all of that worked, then I heard about the VeeFriends project, and that was the first NFT project that I ever bought into, and I was really invested in the community. Obviously, as you can see here, we're all pretty tight-knit, even many years later, even in the down market, and that's what really got me into NFTs and kind of made me buy into the idea of NFTs. And then once I started getting more into the Twitter aspect of the NFT community, that really blew everything open for me because I started finding so many like-minded people. And I actually have a personal theory that there's like a Venn diagram, right? So you have people that are open to everything cryptocurrency, NFT, Web3, and then you have people that are very spiritual or into woo-woo stuff, and then you have people that are neurodiverse, and somewhere in that middle is like the sweet spot where I really found my community that I identified with, and like they're the ones that actually inspired me to not just create the Witchy Bits project, but to also keep going IRL as well. So that's it for me.
Love that. JP, what about you?
I got into the crypto around 2016, 2017, just Bitcoin, and that led to getting into crypto kitties. We actually just kind of talked about our intro to this recently, that we both had crypto kitties, which, you know, is before people started using NFT as the word of what it was. But it was Gary Vee that was the first project that I saw that was like, okay, this is an NFT project. This is what an NFT project is. And that really inspired me. But it was after that, like you said, diving into Twitter. That was like, okay, that Gary Vee opened the rabbit hole, so to speak. And Twitter is what, you know, got me deep in it. And it was after seeing other Web3 cartoon projects that I was like, oh, this is the perfect place for me, who moved to LA to get into animation and to make cartoons. That's why I moved here. But I moved here right when COVID shut down the animation industry. So it's good timing as a different outlet and a way to create my art form of cartoons. So that's what got me here. And it's been such a fun ride throughout. And it's really, again, you know, community is a buzzword, but it's really what ties us. It's really why we're here. It's really, you know, all the love that you can feel amongst us right now is because that's what we really care about.
Absolutely. And Tyler.
Yeah. So, for context, I've been a social media manager since 2005.
For who?
A skate shop called Calavera. This is in 2005 for MySpace. freaking old. It's 18 years.
We all
My
had
little
it.
social media man is an adult now. He's old enough to, live on his own now. 18 years. Look at this guy. He can vote. Anyways, been in social media a long time. And then in the year 2015, I became the social media manager by the man named Anthony Robbins, aka Tony Robbins, aka a force of nature, aka the chairman, aka my guy.
Let's go.
I got to pretend to be that man for 3-something years on the internet. It's freaking weird. You see what happens? Anyways, he was writing about Bitcoin in 2015, and I didn't know how to buy it, but that was the first time I heard about it. Fast forward 2017, I'm sitting at a Tony Robbins event called Date with Destiny. Funny enough, in Palm Beach, Florida, literally on the opposite side of where. Anyways, and I was bullish on Ethereum, and these little feline creatures crashed the network. I'm like, what the frick is happening? These little, they're cute, but they killed the thing. And I was like, but now, what's your question?
I even forgot. I'm just like sucked into your theatrics.
Right.
I think it was just
So that was my first experience with Layer 1 Ethereum. One of.
fantastic.
Should we get up and like wow, Tony Robbins?
Oh yeah, let's do the jump. We can rebound.
What is this?
It's, yeah. So to get it going, you got to rebound.
Get your blood
Go
pumping.
like this. You got to rebound, but then you do the Tony.
Got a bowl.
Oh, this is Tony Robbins. Okay.
Anyways,
Thank you so much for the demonstration.
I don't work for him anymore because I work for this guy, Lorenzo.
Lorenzo.
And it's funny, he's a frog, but he doesn't jump
Toad.
much.
So
So
Get it right.
Oh,
It's a toad.
Don't ever.
I find that very offensive, actually.
no, we're all wood amphibian creatures.
well,
But
to be fair,
specifically, you can tell it's a small, warty creature living in the metaverse with shorter legs, and frogs have a shinier skin, whereas toads is dry and warty. If I left one thing out, by the way, I left the key name out. King Grempling.
what?
We're gonna leave it at that.
All right, mic drop.
Plug walk, King Gremplin, and Modi. Gotta give a Modi shout out. Anyway, sorry I'm hijacking. Let's move on.
yes. All right. We'll get more into why is Tyler even creating this character? Why is he carrying around a pillow? We're gonna get into that. But before we get into that, I definitely want to ask Asteria. I noticed you were one of the first people in our VeeFriends community who created an NFT project, and it seemed like almost overnight. Like, I don't know if it was within a few weeks of Gary launching his project, but it seemed that way. Like, Gary just released his NFT project, and then all of a sudden, boom, 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 you saw a few community members release their own NFT project. So I kind of want to know, like, what was that process like? Like, did you know what you were doing right away? Because, like, you had that thing out, and if you haven't seen her art, definitely check it out on OpenSea. It's called Witchy Bits NFT. And it's pixelated, it's pixelated, right? It's really cool. It's really well done. So, like, what was that process, and how were you able to get it out so quickly and, like, just trust yourself and trust that you know what you're doing?
I think you're giving me a lot of credit. So I think it was pretty soon after VeeFriends launched. I think VeeFriends launched sometime in May, right? Like towards the end of May, I think, because there was a couple of delays. And I think my project launched either in July or maybe August. I can't remember off the top of my head anymore. Did not know what I was doing, but I personally learned by doing. I am a person that I can read a bunch of information. I can see someone else do it, but I'm not really going to understand it, and it's not going to click for me unless I'm there clicking the buttons and running into issues and blah, blah, blah. So, like, for some of my eagle-eyed supporters, they were actually trying to help me because they're like, oh, your metadata is wrong, or like this particular thing had a space in it where it shouldn't have. And I'm like, you know what? That's part of learning. And I am totally okay with memorializing that on the blockchain because like you mentioned, I was one of the first people that I knew of in our own little smaller community that kind of just went for it and did it. And I did not have a plan. I did not have like, oh, this is going to be like the first drop and the second drop and the third drop, and there's going to be this and that, and I'm going to do utility. I just did the first three. Like I literally just did three, and I dropped those first three so that I knew what it was like to actually operate on OpenSea and on the blockchain and lazy mint and all that stuff. And then, you know, I had a lot of great people like yourself that came up and they're like, oh my God, that's so cool. I can't believe you already did it. Like, how did you get it together so quick? And that's what kind of kept me going to keep releasing and get more creative. I've always been an artist. I've always loved making things. You know, I'm definitely like a creatress. I like making things, whatever they are. And we were talking about this earlier where it's like the power to create is always like so intoxicating when you finally get it out there. And it's like, this was a thought in my head. And now it's like, it's out there in the universe and other people can see it and, you know, purchase it if they want and support or just tell me like, hey, can you show me how you did this? And that was like such a cool experience. And again, intoxicating, I think is the right word because it's something that it's like, wow, I did it. And I didn't think I could do it. And I didn't know what cryptocurrency was 3 months ago, but here I am launching an NFT project. So it was definitely a really, really cool experience. And I know what I was doing. I kind of knew, but not really, you know, and like learning Polygon was a whole thing. So I wouldn't do that again. I'd just stick to ETH.
And speaking of Polygon, I also know, and like you also launched on another blockchain, right? Wax, was it?
Yeah, it was Wax. What did happen to Wax?
I almost forgot about Wax.
Yeah, that was a whole nother thing too. And that's the thing, right? It's an iterative process. So I think that as long as you're willing to put in the time and do the research and learn how to do it, was I going to launch a whole nother project on Wax? No, but I wanted to know what is the difference between launching on OpenSea, on the Polygon network, on this new Wax thing? Like, what is going to be the most fun for me to do? Because at the end of the day, I think if you're not having fun, it's not worth doing, right? So
thank you for that. Absolutely. So I think there's a message there that, you know, it also helps, right? If you don't know the space itself, to go and just give it a try, do it yourself. You learn through trying. JP, I would love to know about Cool Crocs character. Where did this derive from? Did you just create it just specifically for NFTs, or was this a character that existed before Web3?
100%, yeah. This character was actually first drawn in 2009. So way back then, I had just graduated college. I was about to take a trip around the country to try to find my artistic self, is what I told myself back then. And I was already doing comics, but I wasn't doing any recurring characters. I was just finding a joke and then drawing characters to make that joke a reality in a comic form. And when I set out to go on this road trip, I knew I wanted something that was recurring. And so I sat down and pretty much drew the first animals that I knew how to draw. And this was one of them. And it became, you know, people have asked me like, why the croc? And honestly, I have no answer for that. I drew characters, like I said, just whatever animals that I knew how to draw, that I could draw, that were fun to draw. And this was one of them. But what happened through that process of creating comics was the personalities of these characters came out. And this character always had a personality. He, in the original comic series, he was a rapper. He was, you know, I realized later that a lot of my characters were aspects of myself. And this was the more like ego-driven, like rapper, kind of boisterous. Like, you know, that's why he's Cool Croc. Like, he's cool. Like, he's got sunglasses on. He's fucking cool. And so I realized quickly that people identified with that. People liked it. People would come up to me and like, oh, that character is fun. He just seems like a fun character. And so it quickly became a character that I wanted to put at the forefront of whatever I was doing. And so when I saw NFTs, projects emerge and how they took one animal and then created a PFP project out of that, I knew that this would be my one animal. This would be the character to set it all off and kind of, provide the basis for what this project would be. A lot of fun, involving music, involving art, and just being that type of, hey, this is all awesome, thumbs up kind of character. So that's where, the Cool Croc came out of. There's also a cartoon which explains a little bit of the backstory, how it relates to Cool Croc in the swamp and this backstory, and that is going to be an evolving story that is still happening, and I can't wait to share as we come out with episode 2 and subsequent episodes.
Okay, nice. I love that. I'm excited to see more. Tyler, for you, okay, we obviously know you've had success working with, a toy machine, working with Tony Robbins. Okay, how do you go from there to where you're at now? Like, walk us through that process of like where your mind was changing and developing, and you've decided to be where you are now, working with Lorenzo and creating this persona and this character.
Yeah. I think partly, I'm very grateful to be able to say I've fed my family with Instagram for almost 13 years now. It's pretty weird. It's bizarre. I'm a college dropout, so I lucked out. Like, it's just timing. Otherwise, but I will say how I had a leg up in social media is in skateboarding and come up. I'm a horrible skateboarder, but I always wanted to be around it. And so the poser picks up the camera or, that type of thing. But to succeed in skateboarding, you have to create content. You want to shoot photos, you want to get in the magazine, and now you want to blow up on TikTok or Instagram, whatever. But back in the day, it was video parts. You went in the streets and created content. So I've been in that mode since I was 4 years old, literally creating content around skateboarding, which is weird. But this is what happens. Anyways, so the point is how I went from there to there is I got super bored on Instagram. And like they just kept copying everyone else, right? Like Snapchat was dope, and then IG did stories and whatever. Anyways, it trucks on, and these social networks are these behemoths. They're not going anywhere. They're like these generational blobs, right? Anyways, and I saw NFT is like a couple of things. One, I've always had a goal in life to open an art gallery and exhibit artwork for my friends. I'm not an artist myself per se, but I've worked with hundreds of artists. A company, I resigned from Tony Robbins reluctantly. A lot of people looked at me sideways for doing that. And I love them. We're partners on a business together. Dear friends with the family. After many years have I resigned from working for his event business, but I still work with him. Anyways, the point is I went to Ruka. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Ruka, RVCA. It's a lifestyle brand, and they have surfers and skaters and jiu-jitsu fighters. But then they have like 100 artists. It's called the Artist Network Program. And these were all my heroes growing up. And one of them, Ed Templeton, who is my benevolent overlord. So it gets confusing, I know, but Toy Machine, the blood-sucking skateboard company from which I've been brainwashed by since I was 13 years old. Subsequently, I became their social media manager and proliferator of propaganda and brainwashing material for the benevolent overlord of Ed Templeton. Edwin, aka Ed, is also in the Artist Network program. Anyways, long story short, I've always wanted to exhibit art. And I was like, whoa, I can't afford a physical space, but theoretically I could have a digital art gallery. And the first people that kicked it off was Nifty Gateway. Does anyone remember that? So that's where I was minting my first tokens before VeeFriends. But VeeFriends was like the first project per se. So how I got to this point is I see social media, or I see NFT in the beginning of Web3 is just the next evolution of social media. It's more intimate. It's less contention. It's more kismet and like-minded people. Like like Esther was saying, like she's found her people, right? Like, where else can I walk around with a freaking pillow and be accepted by people? You get locked up for this stuff, but apparently, if you attached Ethereum tokenization to it, it's okay. I don't know. Anyways, does that answer your question?
No, yeah, totally. Thank you so much for walking us through that. No, I love it. I really do. You know, I want to go back to this, like you said, Tyler, like this is kind of like the next iteration of the internet, right? Web 1, you had, you know, just computers talking to other computers. Web 2, I see it as, you know, the apps that you get on your smartphone, and now we have blockchain. And obviously we've seen some different use cases like cryptocurrency, you know, having, you know, this almost instant money that you can send to people and receive. But NFTs is different, right? And it gets this bad rap, it has been. But I would love to hear from each of you, like, why do you advocate still for NFTs despite media, despite, you know, maybe even family members or friends that are close to you? Like, why still advocate for NFTs and specifically for the art that you're doing? Because obviously, like, the three of you are totally different, but all of you guys are still using blockchain and NFTs, but in different ways. So for anyone who's watching or still like on the edge, maybe I should leave. We've seen a lot of people leave NFTs. Like, why still advocate for specifically NFTs? So I would love to hear from each of you. Esther, go
Oh
ahead.
my God, that's a loaded question. So I'm a huge fan of being very authentic and transparent, right? That's kind of like one of my key guiding values. And I think that for me, NFTs have like a special place in my heart because there was something about being anonymous and being able to kind of like I always say like I was a witch in the closet, right? And I came out of the broom closet like after NFTs. Because with NFTs, I was able to say all the things that I thought about like quantum manifesting and quantum mechanics and doing spill work and ritual jars and stuff like that. And people thought it was fun and it was kitschy and it was like cute little NFT art and stuff like that. But there was something about being like an anonymous artist that allowed me to express myself in such a way where I didn't fear retaliation because I'm a registered nurse. I work in healthcare. I work in corporate. So for a lot of the things that I do in my spare time, they're looked down upon in the corporate world. And NFTs were kind of like a gateway for me to be more authentically myself without fear of that blowback or that repercussion. That being said, now that, you know, the Web3 is like not doing so hot and it's like, oh, haha, how's your little VeeFriend doing? You know, there's a lot to be said about cycles, right? And I'm a big observer of everything in nature is cyclical, and that's like the witch in me speaking, right? Like we are not meant to be up all the time. It's impossible. It's not sustainable. We're not, you know, the blockchain and all that is technology and is robots and stuff, but we are not. So I think that the reason why I advocate for NFTs and the communities that it builds is because people don't get into NFTs, you know, expecting, or at least not the people here in the community that I've met here in San Diego. We didn't get into NFTs to make a quick buck and get out. We got into NFTs because we were all open-minded and we were all so excited and we all started speaking to our friends about it and they just went like, oh my God, stop. I don't care about the blockchain. And so, you know, coming to a community like the one that you set up, I was able to literally like brain dump all of the things I was super excited about when it came to NFTs, when it came to cryptocurrency, when it came to like, hey, this is how I'm going to start utilizing and giving real life utility. What do you think about that? Oh, I think that's a great idea. Maybe have you thought about doing this? And, you know, like that's why I advocate for the NFT community, because I think that it brings together, like I said, like-minded people, open-minded people, and extremely creative people that actually care about the people behind the other art projects.
Totally. Yes.
Yeah.
Love that answer. This is they also, by the way, I didn't give them these questions. We're winging it. So these answers are truly authentic and genuine, by the way. Let's hear from JP.
So advocating for Web3, even in this market, right? It's, you know, to echo a lot of what you said, we didn't get into this because we thought we could make a quick buck and get out. We saw it as I saw it as a place where artists have now new technology that they can use to help themselves create a career, right? So what does that mean? We all know the trope of the starving artist. And when I first got into Web3, it was because Bitcoin was an alternative to the currency that we currently have, and a way to better that system. And then when art came into it, it even made more sense. Oh, we can, trade our art and have a community and use technology to help that cause, to help artists create, monetary gains so we can live and pay rent with a fan base that we don't need to have a mediary in between, right? I moved here to get into the cartoon industry knowing that I would have to play a game that involved gatekeepers that could keep me out based on their opinion, not based on what the public thought. And Web3 opened the door to say, hey, if you can communicate directly with your fan base, you can create in that same fan base and you can deliver to that fan base without having any mediary, because it involves in its own nature the currency, right? Which would be the cryptocurrency part. So all of that wrapped together, and why I still advocate for it, even though NFTs is like a faux pas to say because it's got a bad brand right now, it doesn't mean the technology is less sound. We know, us here know, the technology is not going backwards, right? I always make the analogy of the internet. The internet crashed and was a fad for years. They were like, oh, remember the internet thing? That stupid internet thing that people tried to say was the future? It failed. That was on headline newspapers. So that's what is happening right now. And if you know these cycles, right, which we are privy to, then you know that it's not going anywhere. It's just going to be branded differently, and it's going to keep going. And I made a post recently about where exactly we are, where I saw a Web3 NFT project that had no mention of Web3 or NFTs. It was about digital collectibles. It was about digital card collecting. It was actually in skateboarding, which is why I found it, because I'm a skateboarder, always have been my whole life. A lot of, skateboarding is my project. But I saw this skateboarding digital card collecting thing advertised on Instagram, right? So a Web2 platform advertising this thing that I knew was Web3, but no regular consumer would attach it to Web3. So that's where we are right now. We know the technology is driving forward. We know it solves a lot of problems. We know it helps bring communities together. We know there's a lot of tools that we can use. And it also adds ownership to the community, right? So we all know this, but a lot of people don't. Like if you're the biggest fan of Nike and you buy their shoes every single time they drop a shoe, that's not going to matter. You're not going to get any more utility because you're the biggest fan. On the blockchain, you can keep track of that. You can see who's doing that. You can reward people for doing that. The people that do that they can put up their own Nike design and potentially make money off of that. And so you're giving people the ability to actually profit off of and get value from being a integral member of your community. And that has a lot of power, and that's what consumers actually want, and that's what this technology gives. So yes, never going to stop being an advocate for something that helps people in this digital age, whether they know it or not, whether we have to rebrand it or not. That doesn't matter. The fact is it's solving problems, and it's going to be here forever.
I love that. Yes. All right, Tyler. Why still advocate for NFTs in your opinion?
Economic freedom. I love everything both Joseph and Esther said. I agree with all of it, except I am trying to get rich and leave real quick. Just kidding. I still have yet to mint my own NFT. Well, like, sort of. Anyways, doesn't matter. But the point is, having worked with all these artists over the years and seeing artists, the history of art history, and how a lot of artists don't even really don't get to appreciate the value their art has accrued over the years. Like they became famous after they passed or whatever it may be. But this idea that there's a technology that can pay an artist royalties in perpetuity is absolutely fascinating to me. I think that is true economic freedom, where you could have a creator set it up where that if there's success in those tokens and there's reselling or whatever it may be, just the fact it only has to sell once, right? Just the fact there's a royalty in exchange, because that mechanism never existed before. In the traditional art world, once the artist sold their artwork, that was the only exchange value they had. Like the gallery and collectors are making all the bags subsequently. So that gets me excited, is the artist gets to participate on the upside in forever, right? Like that's never existed, and it's an insurance on it. I know it's getting kind of weird or like confusing with certain platforms not paying royalties, and that's a whole other discussion. But I think at its core, and the core element of that is why I'm still here. Why I am,
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we definitely love to keep supporting our artists for sure, and royalties is a way to support them through NFTs. Tyler, I want to you kind of mentioned it there. You haven't really released your own NFT project. Obviously, JP and Esther has. So talk to us about the NFT, your boss, you are holding called Cryptodes, right? It's from an NFT project by Gremlin. So talk to us about what drew you to that project and what you're doing with Lorenzo.
Right. Thank you for that. Well, the title of this panel is Digital Evolution, Pioneering Your Business with Web3 Tools. And this, my friend, is a tremendous Web3 tool. And that is because it's a CC0 asset. And I'll explain what that is in a minute. But Cryptodes, it's CC0, was first introduced to me right down the street at ETHSD, Ethereum San Diego. Shout out to that Meetup crew.
Right.
And there was a man named Sean who does a thing called relay.cc, I think, and it's like AI for Web3, something cool. And he was talking about his thing, but all of a sudden the talk pivoted towards how you can earn revenue or earn income in Web3 without necessarily, if you're not an artist or don't want to launch a project, whatever it may be, there's a lot of grant money to be had by a lot of these public good services, in particular something called the Nouns DAO. By show of hands, is anyone here familiar with Nouns DAO?
They were in
One, two.
They were in the Macy's Day Christmas Parade last year.
The Nouns DAO was in the Macy's Day Christmas Day Parade. They was also in the Rose Bowl.
Oh, that's what I meant. I'm sorry.
Okay. With skateboarders.
A parade.
So here's what's wild.
Wow.
Yeah, they had people called Ask Long Beach. I forget what Ask means, but it's a youth program for skaters in Long Beach. And the Nouns, okay, I'm getting ahead of myself, but we'll come back to that. The skaters were involved. The basic thing is CC0 is something called Creative Commons. Is anyone familiar with public domain or things in the Creative Commons? That means an artist that has put something in the creative domain, it's free for anyone to use. And so this generally happens when people don't keep up on their contracts of try to renewing copyrights and things like that. So you have old cartoons like Betty Boop. Who likes Betty Boop?
Yeah.
You can go rip all the Betty Boop you want and upload it to YouTube and get that cheddar, because no one can come after you because it's in the public domain. So
Winnie the Pooh just entered.
No.
Yeah. Wow. Pooh Bear. Pooh Bear. Is this no, that's, I mean, how valuable is that, right?
Wow.
That's,
Totally.
if you love Winnie the Pooh, you could literally create your own living. Like he said, gatekeeper. There's no freaking gatekeeper for Winnie anymore. The Pooh. Pooh Bear. Go get on some honey. Get after it. Get that honey. Anyways, so King Gremplin, he doesn't like being called that. You know what I like calling Gremplin? Many things. I call him Narplac. I call him King Gremplism. I call him. Anyways, Gremplin created 6,969 small warty creatures in the metaverse living on L1 called Cryptodes. And they're all in CC0, which is they're in the public domain. So theoretically, anyone can take this goofy-looking lasagna toad and do whatever the hell they want to do with it. Put it on a billboard for all I care. In fact, please do. We would love it. Put it on a billboard. Anyways, so the point is two things. One, if you notice, if you know what the nouns are, we're both wearing this thing called noggles. Lorenzo has a noggle. I have a noggle. Shout out Modi. Modi plug walk. Modi made my noggles. And King Gremplin helped make these noggles. So Gremplin is one of 3 artists on the Nouns DAO. And the Nouns DAO is very hard to explain. If you don't know, I'm not going to try. But I'll say it like this. It's the most fantastic financial instrument ever created, theoretically. And in a way, it is the first permissionless lifestyle brand. And Cryptodes is the second ever permissionless lifestyle brand. So my boss here, Lorenzo, is a 2 for 2. So, that's how we roll.
Love it. Yes. So anyone who wants to take Lorenzo, put him on a billboard.
Hey.
Put him in a movie. Hey. JP, put him in, him and Cool Crocs.
Let's talk.
Get illegal gaming going, just to put his permissionless. Like, no one has to ask. Just do whatever you want. Kill him. Like, just get out of here. Oh! I didn't do it. I'm so sorry. I will clean that up.
That's going to be really great content.
That is horrible content. I'm sorry.
That was not
shout out
planned,
Sidecar. Shout out Sidecar. Do not kick me out.
Don't start fighting, man. I want to be.
Do not fire me, Lorenzo. There will be a workman's comp claim later this evening filed. Thank you.
Clean up on aisle CC0.
All right. JP.
I'm so sorry. No one walk over there.
I think those were empty glasses anyway, so
Yeah, maybe you should do
It's
it.
still glass on
except
the
for the
floor.
people that have to clean it up, we're fine.
I will clean that up. No one.
Or have
I will
one of the
clean that up.
bartenders.
That pillow's drunk.
I've been sober 12 years, so that's what happens.
Let's go. Awesome. JP, wanted to hear more about, you've talked a little bit about like cartoons and animations with Cool Crocs. Would love to know what you're rolling out. As we know, we're going to play the card game. What have you done so far with your IP, and what are you looking forward to do?
So currently what we have is our first episode, which is a animated short. It's on shopcoolcrocs.com. It's on our YouTube page. So we have put this out, this cartoon short, which is mostly just a proof of concept. It's a proof of concept episode because at the time, we were going through the beginning of the bear market, and a lot of projects were rugging, and a lot of projects were not executing on the promises that they said that they would create animations. A lot, most of these are PFP cartoon images, so a lot of them promised an animated cartoon and then did not deliver on them. And so that's kind of when we started launching our project. And so the first thing I wanted to do is make good on that promise. When I say we're making cartoons, we're making cartoons. So we made a cartoon short. So that's out there. And I've been working on episode 2 for a while, probably too long. But episode 2 is coming out. I'm working on the script as we speak. It's gone through a lot of revisions. It started as a, adult cartoon, and now we've decided to make it a PG cartoon, and that is, true to NFT community form. That is with the decision of our community, buyers of the Cool Crocs, that determined that, yes, it would be more beneficial to make it PG and get more people involved into this IP. So that is currently happening. It was my goal to have it out by the end of this year. It doesn't look like it's going to come out by the end of this year, It looks like it's going to come out in Q1 of next year, of 2024. And I'm excited because not only are we going to come out with that episode, it's going to have a card game that corresponds with that episode, which kind of neatly transitions into the card game that you alluded to. So card games is another thing. You know, when it comes to IP and creating, products that expand the IP, card games was something that I never thought I would do, but came naturally when we created the characters that we created and the things, bad characters that take stuff and good characters that give stuff, and all of a sudden it became a card game. And so I expanded on that, and now I fell in love with creating games. So there is a card game that will correspond with our episode 2. I'm very excited about that. There is a board game coming after that. So is that a question?
Yeah.
What?
Yes, we're going to do Q&A at the end.
Okay. Save your questions till the end. Jeez.
Yeah, remember your question.
I'll try.
But yeah, that's what's coming next. There's a children's book coming up. I basically have planned the next 5 to 10 years of my life based on this project and based on what we created artistically and continuing our dreams. That's what this is about. It's making our dreams happen. So yeah, children's book, children's EP. There's a lot coming out, but those are the next things that we're rolling out.
That is so exciting. I look forward to it. And I had no idea you were shifting over to PG. So
yeah. We want more. It's actually because we launched the plushie. When we launched the plushie, we realized a bunch of kids want the stuffed animal, and then I was like, well, what a horrible thing to have a card game that the kids can play, have a plushie that the kids want.
Walmart's coming.
This is a plushie, very cute, and so
Cool.
if the kids wanted this and the card game, but then weren't allowed to watch the cartoon, that just wouldn't be right. So that's what fueled our decision to, okay, if we're coming out with all these things that we know kids enjoy and kids are buying and parents are buying for their kids, well, then we need to have the animation match that.
wow, I love that. That's a great process. You got to learn too, right? You got to do it and you learn. I love that. Esther, so I wanted to know, I've obviously bought one of your NFTs and I've experienced the utility. I would love for you to explain first, for those who don't know, what utility means, what you do when you bring utility to an NFT, when you attach that, and then why do that? Do you think every NFT project should have utility? Because I've heard that in the space, you can't be an NFT project if you don't have utility, and if you don't, you're gonna rug us or something, right? So we'd love to hear your opinion on that. And why, because I know you said you didn't know what you're doing also, right, when you first started. So when did you also decide, I'm going to attach utility to this?
Yeah. So utility is basically saying, okay, you're going to buy this NFT. You're going to buy this digital piece of art from the artist, right? And adding utility can mean different things to different people. My utility is going to be very different from JP's utility. It's going to be different from, any other project. The VeeFriends, obviously, utility is going to be very different. But for me, it was more of I took the art as a cool looking receipt to actually cash in a live session with me, to do an oracle or a tarot card reading or something like that. So it was actually very underpriced. I realize that now, looking in retrospect, because you take so much time and you put so much love and dedication into the artwork that you make. It takes you 10, 15, 20 hours to just do a drop. And all of my NFTs are one-of-ones. So mine is not a generative project. I actually painstakingly drew all of those on Procreate by hand. So when I added utility, it was again, the NFT was meant to be more of proof of purchase. And then on top of that, you would basically get to schedule a reading with me. I didn't decide to do utility, I think, until my third or fourth drop. And the reason for that was because, again, I was getting into the Twitter spaces and I was finding a lot of people were really interested in all of the things that I had to say in the Twitter spaces. And people were kind of egging me on, you should share more. You should have a podcast. You should do Clubhouse. And, I started doing the Witchy Bits Coven every other Thursday or something like that when I was able to. And so that was my way of giving time back to people. It's like, okay, you went and purchased one of my NFTs. Now I'm going to do a reading for you. And my readings are fairly long. They're like an hour to 90 minutes long, depending. So that was utility for the Witchy Bits project. Again, I think I started that in my third drop. And my drops got consecutively bigger, right? So I think my first drop, like my establishment drop, was only 3 NFTs. And then I think the one after that was like 10. The one after that was like 15 or 20. And so I kind of just kept adding. And the utility was different depending on the NFT that you bought. So the most expensive utility NFT was the readings with me, because again, that's 90 minutes of my time. That you get after on top of the artwork. And then I had other utility where you got a physical item. So you would either get like a spell jar that I made, or you would get, some other type of like altar type tool that we use in witchcraft. Ooh, it's so spooky. But yeah, so that's kind of how I came about it. I don't think that every single NFT needs to have utility. There's something to be said about art is good with just being art. Art doesn't need to be anything more than just art. And like, yeah, that's enough utility, right? Do you get joy out of it? Can you elicit emotion from someone else that looks at that artwork? Or does somebody connect to it deeply where, they identify with it, or they just really enjoy looking at it? That is utility in and of itself. I'm a really big proponent of not shoulding people. Like, you should do this, you should do that. If you don't do this, it's not worthwhile. People create for different reasons. Like, some people just feel the need to constantly be creating. I know I'm one of those people where I get the joy out of the creation, and sometimes I throw it in the trash because like I don't think it's good enough. I don't want people to see it, but like I just needed to get it out and put it into the universe and make it. And for other people, they do want to attach utility because they feel like this isn't enough. There's more ideas brewing in my head that go along with this art project that I want to make sure like also makes it out into the world. So again, just to like wrap up, I don't think every NFT requires utility. I just think it's like a little nice add-on piece that keeps people engaged and keeps them coming back and keeps them curious in terms of what else are they going to do? What are they going to do next? What are they going to offer next? For me personally, I realized that the art was only a part of it, but where my heart really was in the actual utility aspect of what came about with my NFT project. And that is where I have pivoted. Like, I have so much respect for you guys, like keep on keeping on and, keeping so strong with the NFT Web3 portion. For me, I moved away from the Web3 portion because I realized that what I enjoyed doing was actually doing the healing work with people. I mean, I'm a registered nurse by trade, and that's what I do for a living on my W-2. But all my weekends are spent at vendor events, at psychic fairs, like actually doing readings for people. And like, that is where I feel I am of most service. And I will forever be grateful to the NFT world and community, because that's kind of what launched this whole other aspect of my life. And that's why I'm still like bullish on Web3 and NFTs, even though I'm not like in the thick of it currently.
I love that. Yeah, I'm so glad that you found yourself and like, okay, I'm gonna start focusing on the healing too. But with that being said, because you did, kind of focus more on the in-person stuff, I mean, all three of you kind of have this balance of I am exploring the digital realm, on the internet, it's on blockchain, but you're also weaving it into your personal lives, into like what we're doing in person. So like, I would love to hear from each of you, like how would you how, for anyone who's interested in doing anything of like similar to what you guys are doing, how do you go about bringing the digital to the in-person, and how is that received by outsiders who are not in the NFT Web3 world? Let's go back. No, let's start back with you, Esther, because yeah, you're in the IRL space more now.
Yeah, so I mean, definitely when, it kind of depends on where you're starting, right? So if you're starting from NFT and you're trying to bring people into the IRL interaction, it's a lot easier because you already have the buy-in of, hey, I love Witchy Bits. I love the pixelated art. I love the little messages that you put in there, right? Because I'm all about educating and elevating and mindset shifting and things like that. So people get interested in what I have to say just based on like a one paragraph description that I add to the NFT. So then when they actually talk to me and they engage with me and they send me a Twitter message or an Instagram message and they're like, hey, what else do you do? I kind of start talking to them and I'm like, oh, well, I actually do events and I do speeches on quantum mechanics and how manifestation is actually science and it's real. And, I explain a lot of the things that I hyperfixate on. And then I sprinkle a little bit more of the magical stuff on there. But it's really easy to get Web3 people interested in engaging with me in person or getting readings or just picking my brain about like, well, how did you fall into this kind of stuff? Or like, how did you end up practicing Wicca and things like that? When it's the opposite, when I have, let's say friends or family that are asking me about like, okay, so you're doing these events and you're doing these psychic fairs and all of that stuff. So like, why should I even bother buying your NFT? Like, what is the point of buying the NFT if I'm already here with you? So that's definitely a little bit of a harder transition. And again, I think the biggest piece of that is education, which, all of us went through so much education to even understand the blockchain and Ethereum and OpenSea when it first got popular. So it's definitely making sure that they're invested enough to actually see it through. And the best way that I found to get people interested in NFTs is to actually sit down with them on a computer and show them, look, it's not scary. You go to this website. This is how you would mint ETH, or this is how you would buy ETH. This is how you mint an NFT, and look at the pretty pictures and look at the art, and look, there's something for everybody out there. It's exactly the same as the real art world. In the digital art world, there's something for everyone. There's a different flavor and a different style for everyone, and I think that as long as people get to see that and experience it with kind of like you holding their hand, right, and kind of leading them around, and like, these are all the things that are available to you if you're interested in diving in, then you get a lot more of that buy-in. So that's been my personal experience. I'm sure you guys have had different experiences, but for me, it's always easier to have my Web3 friends be much more willing to interact with me in real life situations versus like getting friends or family that have no understanding of Web3 and getting them into like buying an NFT project, whether it's my own or someone else's. It's always a little bit more of a transition.
Right. Yeah. No, education is definitely a key piece. If you're going from people who are not familiar with Web3, trying to get them into it, or at least have an understanding of it, for sure. JP, what about you? Like balancing this digital version of your IP, but then taking it to these kind of events and showcasing like your card game and soon, your board game. Like, how have you thought about like how you're going to introduce the tech side to people who are like, I love these plushies, I love the card game, it's so fun, I love the board game? How do you plan, or if any, like, are you even going to mention like, hey, we are also like an NFT project?
So no, I'm not going to mention that we're also an NFT project initially. And what I mean by that is you don't necessarily have to get people that want to buy in to Web3, right? I'm not really necessarily a believer of we need to bring people into Web3. I am a believer of the product itself is sound, the technology is sound, and it eventually will reach the masses when we solve the problems that you said. You need someone to hold your hand. You said it's not scary. I disagree. I say it's scary. I say for the average person that doesn't want to put in a lot of time, it seems scary. And I think we've all gone through that and dealt with someone who thought it was scary and never actually fully committed to it. And so I'm sympathetic to that. But I know, just as my early internet example, it was difficult to get someone to put their credit card on the internet and buy something off the internet previously. So that's the same thing that we're dealing with right now is, why would I buy an NFT if I can buy a reading from you, if I can buy a plushie right now? You don't need an NFT. But guess what? In the future, the people, if you want something so badly, you're going to find out that the only way you can get it is having an NFT, because we're providing utility. So when you provide so much utility, eventually someone will. I mentioned Nikes earlier as an example. Eventually there will be, hey, you can only buy this shoe if you have the Nike NFT. And guess what? A lot of people who didn't care about NFTs, who bashed NFTs, they'll all of a sudden get a wallet, go through that arduous process because they want this product. And that's, I think, the way that it's going to happen is that people are going to want. So I have no problem not necessarily trying to get people into NFTs, but trying to make my IP the coolest it possibly can be. So when they find out that, oh, they bought this and they bought a card game and they bought something else, oh, you would have got that all for free if you just had the NFT and you'll get a bunch of more for free. Oh, well, then you actually want to do that. And you actually want to go through that process. And guess what? That process is going to get easier and easier and easier and easier until you don't even realize that you have to do anything. It's going to be one click, just like it is right now to do PayPal, just like it is right now to get on the internet. No one has a block to do these things now because technology has caught up to the consumer. Eventually, that's the exact same thing that's going to happen with Web3. And there's not going to be this divide. Right now that there is. And I have no problem waiting and taking the time that we have right now to build the IP and build my project and build this community to the point where it is enticing enough to get people to want to do whatever they have to do to get the greatness that we're getting right now. So that's how I feel about it.
Great, yeah. JP getting all the claps today. Tyler, would love to hear from you too, because obviously you're doing something a little different. You're doing a lot of content, like on social media, and you're holding, people understand, okay, there's a pillow, you're dressed up as a character, and they might be able to piece two together, like when you say, oh, I work for Lorenzo, and you know, he's a lasagna toad, right? Like, okay, he's the color orange. All right, I guess he's lasagna, right? But like, you know, I've seen you work. Okay, this guy has been able to get people to sign the pillow. Not this one. I don't think another one signed up the pillow. You've also gotten Cypress Hill, Be Real, to hold the thing and get content with that. And you've done so much, right, with Lorenzo. So what is your goal, like, putting out this content? Is it to educate and like about the CC0? Is it to just educate and say, hey, you can have fun with NFTs or Web3? Or is it just strictly just content and just entertainment? Like, what is it for you, and what do you want the viewer to absorb from all that?
Well, part of this is super fun for me. I'll say that. I have a busy life. Thank you, by the way, for those wonderful compliments. I have a lot of fun doing this. I left out a very important piece when I introduced myself. I am a father of 3, so I have 3 children. I have a 9-year-old, 7-year-old, and a 4-year-old, and a puppy too, and a wife, a beautiful wife. Life's busy, so when you work for a pillow, it gets even busier. Anyways, what my outcome is a couple things. One, I just want to keep having fun. It's been really fun to show up to events as this and as a social exercise. It's fascinating. People have fun with me, and I have fun with people doing this shit. So, but my number one outcome, yes, I want to teach kids, skaters particularly, about the power of CC0. Because for me, if I was 13 years old back in the day, all I wanted to do when I was a young teen was either start my own skateboard brand or own a skate shop. But I'm not an artist, so I couldn't draw cool T-shirts or a logo or nothing. But now, with a project like Cryptodes, there's literally millions and millions of possibilities of different assets of artwork that Gremplin has provided, where you can create your own color hue of it. People have. There's dozens of these Toads projects that are permissionless. So to sum it up, I want to teach skateboarders and youth culture the power of CC0, and that there's financial opportunities out there, not to invest in NFTs, but to engage with what we would call a network state and get to know, kick the tires on this technology and ask questions. Show up in a Discord, show up in a Twitter, and inspire skaters or youth culture to do that. And then understand that if they have a vision, they can get their vision funded like a venture capital arm of investors, but it's all on chain and completely permissionless. So that just completely fascinates me. So this element of kind of teaching financial literacy through satire, and then also the opportunity exists with nouns and cryptos for anyone.
I love that. Yes, definitely teach even the young ones like the financial literacy and how to even get funding, and that can be done through cryptocurrency as well, right? I would love to bring it over now to the Q&A, and I think I'm going to go over to Isabel first.
Do you remember
Do you
question?
remember your question?
Oh, yes.
Keegan, can you give her the microphone, please?
Pump it up.
I feel like you're probably going to answer this question already, but I was curious about the card game because my family back in Mexico, we're very traditional. Yes, we like to enjoy getting together, having drinks, music, party. But my grandparents are also very old school. We like to play dominoes, different card games. So I'm all about card games. I was just curious to know if it's like a regular traditional deck of cards just with your design on it, or if it's like an actual card game with instructions like Uno.
It is definitely the latter. It is definitely its own original card game. There is.
Did you create the whole game?
I did use a old card game that not a lot of people know about to base the template kind of off of. So I knew a little bit about the dynamics. It's actually.
What game was that?
I don't necessarily
Full transparency.
I will. So the card game is called Weed, and it's a novelty card game that not a lot of people know about, and it was.
I think Tyler knows.
It was also the one of my favorite game of a friend of mine who passed away way too young. So we were like good friends in high school, and she passed not long after that. And so, I knew she loved this card game. Not everyone liked it as much as she did.
So it's like a memoir.
It is. It is. For me, it is an homage. It's a way to kind of honor her life, and in a very small way. So there is, yeah. So I get that satisfaction out of it. But to answer your question, it's very easy gameplay, and there's a lot of things that Uno has that it has, and you get 5 cards like poker. So there's a lot of like typical game mechanisms that any traditional card game would be familiar with. But then there's a couple things that are new, and it is its own original art and its own original, card mechanisms and characters and everything. So I would say, to answer your question, a combination of both.
I love that. Thank you.
That's amazing. That's wonderful. I love that. Any other people with Q&A?
Hello. That was awesome. It was great hearing about all of your different projects. It's definitely a tough time to run a project, so I give you all big ups to continuing the hard work. I think it's really cool, the readings. I've had some readings. I just did a website for a friend who does Reiki.
Yeah.
I can never say it right. And I had a session with her, and it was so cool. It was so awesome. The Crocs, Cool Crocs, is what it is, right? The Crocs?
Yep.
I followed you on Twitter and all that. Really good job. I don't know if I'll have time to play the game tonight. I love card games, so I want to hear more about it. I also love animated projects. I'm a big Planosaurus fan. And I think stuff like Render, like a crypto native project, like Render will bring a lot of equality to the animation space, being able to scale affordably distributed computing resources. Also, they're doing it for AI. The Now Sound, I also think that's really interesting, and I like was it CC0? Was that it? I love the concept of that. I have some fear of when people do bad things with brands, when you lose control of that, but maybe that's an unnecessary fear you can help relieve me of. And then I also wanted to say, if you're looking to get family or friends into Web3 and you're scared about too many clicks, onboarding, gas, all that stuff, Drip House, drip.haus is a free distribution service. They've distributed 50 million NFTs over the last year, compressed NFTs for only a couple $1,000 using compressed NFTs, which is an amazing scalable technology. And then if you want gasless instant payments that I just showed this gentleman at the table in a second, getcode.com.
Let's go, Justin.
Getcode is a layer 2. Well, it's not really a layer 2 on Solana, but it's basically an abstraction slightly from Solana and Solana Pay that allows for instant, scannable, passable cryptocurrency with no gas required, and it takes in under a second. So amazing technologies out there. The bear market is for builders. The bear market is for artists. Yep. So thanks for sharing everything. And shout out to everybody on Cam. I got a Zeta Markets. If you trade perps, get liquidated like me.
Tyler, did you want to address anything about the CC0 he mentioned about like using it possibly for something inappropriate?
Yeah, it's a legitimate fear, of course. And CC0 is definitely a contrarian approach to a traditional world. Obviously, if you wanted to leverage an IP like Mickey Mouse or something, you're not going to get too far, right? So I think you just kind of, maybe string theory has something to do with it. The string theory. I'm gonna say
that
quantum.
Is beyond this discussion.
No, it's right. It's perfectly in this lane because there's layers to this. So I'm gonna say quantum mechanics will protect Lorenzo from any inappropriate things. And if they do happen, it goes viral. Then you know what they say. There's no such thing.
There's no such thing as bad publicity.
Tell them.
Well, so I do want to say something because I mentioned Winnie the Pooh as an example earlier, and one of the first things that use Winnie the Pooh's IP is a horror movie where.
Oh yeah.
Did you actually watch it?
I didn't watch it.
But you saw, yeah. So
they crushed it, right?
I mean, it was an independent horror film, as far as my knowledge, that used the Winnie the Pooh mask and used the IP to have a Pooh and a Piglet commit murders. So you might abstract from that is the fear, right? That someone creates an IP that is CC0, but they create it in a form that they want it to be kid-friendly, and the first thing that happens is someone takes it and makes a horror movie with murder and blood and whatnot. So that is a legitimate fear, but you have to take into account that what the artist's intent was, right? And there's a lot of artists that don't care about the money, that don't care about what happens, and I totally understand this thought of what will someone do with this IP that I would never think of doing. And so if you have a structured plan of what you want, well then don't do CC0. If you are up to the, if you're posing it to art to the planet to say, hey, let's see what other humans do with this. Let's see how far someone can take this and how negative someone can be with it, and you're just open to it, well then that's a great thing. And yes, people can be upset about it. People can, I'm sure people were upset about that movie and what it did to their childhood memories of Winnie the Pooh.
Poor Eeyore. What I want to also add on that is why I said string theory and kind of quantum physics. Quantum mechanics. It's kind of this vibe of there's a lot of gratitude and there's a lot of generosity with CC0. And so I think all that energy of giving, like, hey, take it, run with it, that you're attracting the right forces and a light energy as opposed to if you're in fear of someone doing inappropriate dark things. Like that's the last thing I want to do. I have 3 kids. As I keep it family show. So PG, I'm all about it. That's why I'm here. If it goes dark, like I think I'll have enough positive light in my community to like combat that. But I think it's the the reciprocal nature of CC0 being so positive and generous that I think there'll be more light than bad.
I mean, and another example is Pepe the Frog, right? I mean, I think that's an accurate example of what the fear is, hey, I made this character to do something, it got taken away from me, and now represents something that I don't believe in. But if that's your feeling, I say don't create CC. You have the option. As an artist, every artist has the option to create how they want to create in legally with these terms. Right? So if you want to create a CC0, by all means do that, and just be very open. And as an artist, it's an artistic project to say, hey, what humans can do with this, I don't have any say which way it goes. If you do, then just don't make it CC0.
Okay, great. Any other questions from the audience? No? Okay. Oh.
You want the mic, Keegan?
Come here.
All right, I got a quick question for all three of the guests for tonight. First off, thank you for being here. Thank you, everybody, for spending time here. You guys have been very
Thank you, everyone.
Giving the time on a Thursday. It's not even Friday yet. It's not Saturday, but anyway, glad. All right, so quick question for all you. Just wondering, now having spent some time in the Web3 NFT space, it's been at least 1-2 years now, at least. Tyler, you've been building nonstop. JP, you've been handling business. Witchy Bits. This is what I call Esther Witchy Bits, because that's her Twitter, X handle. So, but having spent the time that you spent here in the space now, I guess maybe I should be on camera a little bit. So
And on no longer.
So what do you guys feel now after this time? How do you see things playing out in the next 6 months to a year in terms of where things are going? Because you spent time, you have a pulse. Clearly, you're here on Thursday night, supporting, giving back. So what do you think is going to happen? What are you feeling? Or what do you want to happen now for yourselves? What are you trying to build from here on out, I guess? Next steps, I guess. Next steps in the 6 months. Shout out to Joshua Tree.
I mean, I'll definitely say what I would like to see in the next 6 months to a year, which I don't know if it's necessarily realistic or feasible, but I would love to see right now in the downtime when it's not all crazy and everyone's jumping on projects and buying this and buying that and trying to figure out how to short the stock or whatever. I'm using stock options now. I would love to see people double down on ease of introducing people to Web3. So we touched on that on various points throughout the panel. I would love to see that one-click option, or I would love to see hey, this is the easy way to onboard. And if you want to learn all the background of blockchain and everything that has to do with all of the different cryptocurrencies, you can still do that. But not having that be a barrier to entry, I think is what's going to cause mass adoption. And I think that's where the resources need to go, is how do we make the technology easier and more accessible for people that don't necessarily have 36 hours to spend reading on what all the technology is? Because I know that for me, that was a initial barrier. I'm I hyperfixate, right? So for me, it was yeah, whatever, I'll read on this for 36 hours. It's fine. I'm interested. I'm invested. Other people don't have that kind of attention span. They don't have the time. They have other interests, right? And so making ease of adoption is what I would personally like to see in the next 6 months to a year. That being said, I think that it's important that we, again, don't should on people, because I think that one of the other potentially negative aspects of Web3 that I've noticed now that I've kind of taken a step back and I'm not as into it as I was before is there's this mentality of you either got to be 150% in or you're out. I don't think that's fair. People have lives, they have kids, they have, jobs that they have to, you can't be on Clubhouse 24 hours a day. You can't be on, X, or formerly known as Twitter, for 6 hours a day, just trying to keep the pulse on every single project. That's not realistic. And honestly, it's not healthy.
Right.
And so what I would like to see is just more even keel for people.
More organic growth.
More organic growth. Right. Love NFTs, love Web3, but don't make it something that you do 18 hours a day, right? I would like to see that level out, and I would like to see ease of access. That's what I would like to see.
Less friction, more adoption,
Less
more
craze. Like people got crazy there for a little bit, where it was like they breathe it. Yeah, it is. But I think that's a toxic mentality also, and it leads to burnout. So, my 2 cents.
So I'm quitting because I do this full time.
You're like, well, shit.
No, there are some people, right? People who are truly building, whether that's building the technology or people who are building whatever it is, right? There are some, but for the majority to be like, oh, I gotta have like 100 discords and I gotta check all the notifications.
Exactly.
People get burnt out. So I do agree. Like I would like to see that level out as well.
So as far as what's going to happen in 6 months to a year, I honestly don't have a very optimistic idea of it. Yes, if the question is what I want to see happen, I want everyone to go to coolcrocs.io and start minting Cool Crocs. But what I think is going to happen is, so what we already have seen so far is NFT has a bad brand name. No one wants to use the word NFT anymore. However, we know the technology is sound. We know that Delta is using it for tracking systems. We know that LA Unified School District is using it for tracking systems on school documents, and that makes sense because we're in a digital age. We need technology that tracks things in the digital form, and that's what blockchain technology was built for. So in that chasm between where we're at right now and what is already being used on a high level, right? Delta and LASUSD is not small potatoes. These are huge, companies and huge concepts that are using this technology currently and not going to stop using this technology. But we have this thing of mass adoption. We need mass adoption. I don't think it's our job necessarily to create mass adoption. I do think mass adoption will come because what we have is a product that solves problems, right? There was no way for digital artists to verify ownership of their art until this technology came about. This technology solves problems, and it will continue. And just like the internet solved problems that people didn't see in the 90s, this technology will solve problems in a year, in 3 years, in 5 years, definitely in 5 years, right? So in 5 years, yes, this technology will be so commonplace. We will all of us that are here today will get together and laugh. And remember that time that we had to prove this technology made sense? Well, we no longer will, but will it be called NFTs? Will people be rushing to buy pictures of animals? I don't know that. I'm not going to speculate. I don't think it even matters. What I think matters is that we create our brands and we get our community. And as long as we're building that, the technology will reach the masses and it will be whatever it is.
Definitely. Yeah. I think Starbucks is one of the few that are doing a great job, even though Starbucks is very mainstream. I think the team behind it is doing it very authentically, and I think it does speak to the ethos of Web3. That's what I think. Tyler, do you want to add anything else?
Sure. I like lots of headlines of all the giant corporations that are doing things in Web3 because it adds more certainty to my wife. Because frankly, she's very confused by all this. Carrying around a pillow does not help. But yeah, Starbucks L2 rewards programs. Samsung's doing a bunch. Google's got a bunch of stuff going on right now. I just minted a free token on Base associated to Google. So 6 months, I don't know, macroeconomy is not looking good. There's wars. It's going into winter. I don't know, but the tech is here. Super fun to kick the tires on this stuff and just play around. I'm just having fun in the meantime, just meeting people and seeing just all the walks of life. I guess one thing that I did get to add this evening that I wanted to share real quick about the IRL element, it really clicked for me. That gave me ultimate conviction in most cases to carry around a pillow, is the first time I went to NFT NYC. And I showed up to this convention, and I've never seen so many walks of life from different industries hanging out, and they're all hanging out because of the technology. And so here in the city, you had the top most avant-garde artists like people. Then you have lawyers doing smart contracts. You have gamers doing esports. You have cartoonists doing artwork and building community. You have musicians minting their tracks. You have it goes on. I'm sure I'm leaving stuff out, but and then you have all the degens and people shorting stocks and financial yahoos on Wall Street, and who cares about them, right? But let's be honest, there are exit liquidities, so we love them. But what I want to say is, I've never seen so many industries come together and commingle. Oh, and I left out the most important part: the freaking developers. Shout out devs. Shout out people writing Solidity and all these Rust and all these computer programmers are the influencers among the supermodels and the artists and the producers. And I'm like, this is beautiful. We love it. So yes, that's that. Grazie.
There's layers to this. Shout out to our show. There's layers to this.
Oh yeah. Every Tuesday, 1 p.m. Pacific. That's 4 p.m. Eastern. And if you live in another country, please do the math yourself. Grazie.
Please sponsor us. We're trying to bring this show to Miami.
It is on YouTube. It is on X. It is on every Tuesday. There's layers to this. And our dear friend who is here, her sister's here, but Creatrice is our other co-host. Shout out. I just want to say thank you so much to Egan and Valerie for putting this on. You guys are champions, world-class legends out front, leading out front. Grazie.
Thank you.
Thank everyone who's here.
Thank you. No, absolutely.
All 2,000 of you. You can't see them on camera, but there's like 2,500 people there. Beautiful, but it is an incredible vibe.
Baby. So bad. Yes. So bad. Going into 2024. All right. Well, I think that's going to conclude our panel. Before we shut this stream down and before we start playing the Cool Crocs card tournament, would love to know just how can we follow each one of your journeys? You know, what's your socials? Go ahead, plug it, shill it. I want to hear it.
So I guess I'll start. I am on Asterias Esoterics, which is hard to spell, but you can find it on the flyer. I'm mostly on Instagram these days. I'm not doing the X anymore. But you can definitely find me on Instagram. I usually show on there which vendor shows I'm doing. I'm definitely all about education. So anytime anybody reaches out to me about, hey, how do I get started in crypto? Or how did you get started on your NFT project? I always love to share about that. And then I also have a website. It's, again, www.asteriasesoterics.com, which you can also find on my Instagram. And that's the easiest way to get a hold of me. I do live here locally in San Diego, so you'll definitely see me around.
Wait, how do you find your NFT project on OpenSea?
Witchy Bits is on OpenSea. It's just like it sounds, Witchy Bits. That's it. And right now, everything is closed. So the only way people can get Witchy Bits is by actually contacting me directly, and I open a private sale only. So
Get in on that. Get in on that.
Okay. JP, how can we find you?
My handle is at JayPeezy_JayPeezy. JPeezy. I am a rapper, so that's where that comes from. I'm also on Instagram at Joseph Penner Art. CoolCrocs.io is where you can mint. ShopCoolCrocs.com is where you can buy all of the plushies, the card games, the merch, the beanies, the shoes. We got a lot of stuff. So yes, shopcoolcrocs.com is where you can find everything. But at JPZ_JPZ on X is where I'm at every day, all day.
Well, you know, if you ever want to do a little freestyle, you have an opportunity tonight. Just say it if you want.
Hey,
no pressure.
It can happen.
All right, let's get a few drinks in you, and maybe I'll have it.
Let's go.
Let's go. All right, Tyler. I know you've also gotten a YouTube award for one of your YouTube channels, but I don't know if you want to plug that one. But go ahead, plug whatever you want to do. Plug walk. Do your plug walk.
All right. You got to go to the frozen food section of your local grocer, and you'll look for what's called lasagna. You want to buy that, take it home, throw it in the microwave about 5 minutes, and then you will have a hot, fresh vibe. After that, you want to go to the Cryptodes Discord. Come say what's up in Cryptodes. My Instagram is Tyler Culbertson. It's about as boring handle as it gets, but wait, no, there's more. It gets even more boring. Because on X, it's Culbertson Tyler.
Ooh, switched it up there. Okay.
Well, so I had the handle and then I lost the login and it's been gone forever. That was back in like 09.
Elon, where are you?
VeeFriends.
So real quick, that reminds me, 6 to 12 months, it is possible that X will unload some tokenized features on X. I mean, I don't know. But NIA, not investment advice. Anyways, so come give me a shout on IG, come give me a shout on X, and go to your local grocer and get our lasagna.
And follow Val Dizzle.
Yeah.
What's
V-Dizzle.
Dizzle.
V-Dizzle.
If you want to follow my personal pages, both x.com, formerly Twitter, or Instagram, you can follow me at VDizzle777. V-Dizzle was my nickname in high school. Repped number 7 on my jersey, so that's where that comes from. But if you want to follow our community, please do. We have a website, www.sd for San Diego, SD NFT Friends, and that's FRIENDS, not FRENS. Friends.com, and we also have a link tree, also San Diego NFT Friends, and you can follow all the socials. And our YouTube channel, this live stream is on YouTube, it's on X, we're live streaming, and appreciate all of you, truly, each and every one of you, because like we said, like you could be anywhere on a Thursday, and it's not easy right now during this market, but give yourselves a pat on the back, because we're all here still, and please keep coming. I do these once every single month, and I'm not gonna stop. So let's go.
Baby. To the moon.
We're so bad. All right, JP, take it away. Freestyle, go.
Where's your beat?
Yeah, we need the beat. Put it on the. Come on, DJ.
Bro.
I can't do it. Happy birthday. All right, we're done.
We're done.
All right, raise some hands. I just want to know real quick, who can stay for the card tournament? Just want to know. Raise your hand.
How many people we have for the card tournament?
No, please play.
How long did we play for? Because
it is about to be 9 or just 9.
Okay.
So we're here till 10. I mean, we can be here till 2 a.m. if we want. But.
All right. Well, we will be here. I'll start setting up the game. Within an hour, we can do at least 2 rounds. So I'll take. We'll see what happens.
Yeah.
Whoever wants to stay, please stay. The card game is fun, and we're gonna give away some prizes.
Ooh, and then also too, Esther is doing any oracle readings. If you're interested, talk to her. Whether you want to do it now or in the future. And then Tyler is hopefully not going to break any more glasses.
I will try not to break
Hope.
But the toad, on the other hand,
The toad, I don't know. Can't trust
no
that.
one knows.
I just realized you're wearing socks and sandals. I love it. It's a hot, fresh vibe. I love this PA system.
It's so nice.
So good, right?
It's like even the microphone's like that is super close to
Unless you want it. You see the shit keep really doing one on the side.
Good seeing you, bro.
Batteries. Oh, you can have the shop.
Oh yeah. Ever since we went
I wanted to bring up your shirt, but that's what I was just gonna say. The first time I ever saw you, I forgot